And they're off. They're racing. Here's commentary. Stuart Machen, I think.
Tip Zone Beginners Chase. 2 3/4 miles ahead of them for the opener at Towcester this evening. They make their way across to the first of the 16 fences, and they're led by Park Quest, who hops over a couple of lengths clear, a bit sluggish through the air, and is immediately joined and headed by Missy Moscow in the headgear under Richard Hobson, who moves on. Restrained into second, Park Quest, and then Red Cap for Leighton Aspel on Gemini Storm as they cross out over the second. The favourite, I'm Loving It, at the back of the field. Just reach for it. Derek Laverty at the buckle end, a rather exuberant leap by the Uneasy Market leader. Move on towards the third, and it's Missy Moscow and Park Quest reining up on the outer. And again, I'm Loving It was the least fluent of the quartet. Not a mistake as such, but slightly out to the left and just a bit low. They turn to race to the foot of the hill, about to encounter the first of the ditches in the race. Missy Moscow to Park Quest, Gemini Storm the red cap, and I'm Loving It looking on. The leader handles the ditch well, all okay there, and with about 4 lengths covering them as they make their way on the incline on the first occasion. Heading towards the end of 3/4 mile, and Missy Moscow, Richard Hobson for the Bert Evans yard, lead by a couple of lengths. Gemini Storm, Leighton Aspel for Owen Brennan against the fence, disputing second with Park Quest, green and yellow jacket, Jerry Supple riding for Carol Aiken. And I'm Loving It, Derek Laverty, last of the 4 runners. I'm Loving It, the Mark Allen trained 7-year-old. So they come into the straight, where on this occasion a line of 3 await them. And Park Quest rejoining Missy Moscow, followed over by Gemini Storm, and I'm Loving It. That's just beginning to warm to the task a little. About to rise at the 6th. And once again, Missy Moscow holds the advantage. Park Quest towards the right. Gemini Storm between horses. And I'm Loving It rather put down on that one. A couple of lengths adrift, last of the 4 as they make their way up to the judge. Circuit to cover, and they're now virtually at the end of a mile. Fence 7 taken on the incline before they sweep down the hill. Missy Moscow a length up on Park Quest, tracked by Gemini Storm and I'm Loving It. Always been in last place, but still only 4 lengths covering them. And I'm Loving It, again guessed. They're really reaching for it, but the least convincing of the 4 throughout. A couple of mistakes down the back first time, and a couple heading up the hill as well. And now they'll freewheel down to an open dish. This could just put a bit of pressure on I'm Loving It's jumping. Last of 4 currently as Missy Moscow leads Park Quest. 2 or 3 lengths up on Gemini Storm, and another couple of lengths to I'm Loving It. And again, just a bit guessy, the back of the field, I'm Loving It. Still firmly in touch and seemingly travelling well enough. Just hasn't really convinced. They continue to head downhill, moving on to the 9th. Missy Moscow. Gemini Storm now disputing second with Park Quest out wide. And I'm Loving It, another 2 lengths adrift. On rising. And again, all 4 safely to the other side. So now about to take another right-handed turn at the bottom end of the course. Missy Moscow. Park Quest getting back to within a half length. Couple lengths Gemini Storm, and a similar margin to I'm Loving It. Across the back straight onto the 10th. And Park Quest out wide comes to rejoin the mare Missy Moscow. They're still followed through by Gemini Storm, who's yet to be asked the question, and I'm Loving It patiently ridden. First on the far side this time, Park Quest was in a bit close, just parted the top of the birch. There's a nudge along for half a stride for Gemini Storm. He's quickly on the tails of the leaders. 3 lengths covering them, next down the back. Again, Park Quest a bit sluggish through the air, gets a reminder, surrendered second. As Missy Moscow leads Gemini Storm, I'm Loving It now moving up and relegates Park Quest to be last of the 4. Next one across on the far side, and this time it was Missy Moscow who was in close, and Gemini Storm was the more fluent. Better jump there from I'm Loving It, who begins to close within a length and a half of the lead as they move up towards 4 out. Gemini Storm, I'm Loving It. Looks like Missy Moscow being eased right off going into that one. She's lost her place very quickly. Seemed to put the brakes on going there. As they now start the climb at the foot of the hill, 3 left to jump. The open ditch coming up to them. Gemini Storm and I'm Loving It seemingly beginning to dominate. They've pulled 4 or 5 lengths clear of Missy Moscow and Park Quest. 3 out then. Gemini Storm, I'm Loving It out wide. Less than a length between them. They're half a dozen lengths up on Missy Moscow and Park Quest as they begin the final assault up the hill with 3 furlongs to travel and 2 left to jump. And I'm Loving It has come there travelling strongly on the outside of Gemini Storm. And I'm Loving It has just about come through to put his head in front, only by a whisker, and seemingly travelling the stronger of the leading pair. But Gemini Storm keeps plugging on for pressure. They're about 4 or 5 lengths clear of Missy Moscow, who's plugging on. Park Quest is back in fourth as heads turn on in to face the second last. And I'm Loving It is now drawn on by about 3 lengths. In close, hit it hard and has gone. Finally, he's paid the price. I'm Loving It had put down on plenty of other occasions and has gone and has left Gemini Storm clear. Missy Moscow remote second. Park Quest back in third. Now can Gemini Storm keep up the gallop with a furlong to cover? Is about 6 lengths clear of Missy Moscow. Got the loose horse for company. Here's the last then for Gemini Storm. Booted into it through the top but safely over it, about 6 lengths up on Missy Moscow, who continues to plug on doggedly. Park Quest is back in third. Gemini Storm's emptying out. Missy Moscow's got the rail to help her. She's beginning to bear down on Gemini Storm, who needs the line and needs it badly and won't get it because it's been mugged by Missy Moscow, who stayed on determinedly to win in a race of rapidly changing fortunes. It was Missy Moscow who came out on top from Gemini Storm and Park Quest.
Only 4 runners, but a dramatic contest. Missy Moscow for Richard Hobson has won it in the end. I'm Loving It looked to have the race in the bag, but falling at the second last. There we thought Gemini Storm would win, but that one stopped rapidly, and Towcester Hill has caught them out once again.